Are you serious? Are you serious? All right, now Nicolas Maduro is ready to talk. Nicolas Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, or is it President Juan Guaido? That's who most of the world is recognizing now as the leader of Venezuela. Really strange situation. We told you guys the best thing for Nicolas Maduro would be to get on a plane with some gold and fly to Moscow, that was his best chance left. It's unbelievable. I said that about 2 weeks ago. I can't believe this. Yesterday, a plane, a Boeing 777 arrived from Moscow to Caracas empty. There was no passengers on it. And this morning we have information. Maduro is now open for talks as 20 tons of gold mysteriously disappears from Venezuela's vaults. What? And the plane in Caracas is flown back to Moscow. So you do the math. And yes, 20 tons of gold would be 40,000 pounds. Yes, you could put 40,000 pounds on a Boeing 777 and fly back to Moscow. And that's worth about $800 million, almost $1 billion. That should pay for a ticket for Maduro and his family and maybe some of the closer people with him to leave there. But he hasn't left yet. The gold is gone. He has sent the gold. I mean, obviously the gold is gone. Where'd the gold go? I'm going to say it went on the plane back to Moscow, as I predicted was going to happen. Now, this is really wild. A spokesman for the Kremlin has denied the rumors that the private Boeing 777 registered to Russia's Norwind airline, which landed in Caracas this week, was there to spirit away with a chunk of the country's gold reserves, or even to escort the country's embattled leader, Nicolas Maduro, into exile, which is what I've said is going to happen. But Russian newspaper report that the empty plane had departed from Moscow to Caracas with enough space for some 400 passengers, but there was nobody on board. And according to the photos taken by Reuters, it was parked by a private corner of the Caracas airport. It marked the first time the plane had flown on that route ever. Reports said the plane carried 2 crew teams and that there was no obvious reason for it to fly there. Then we have, Mr. Peskov cautioned journalists to be careful with their different hoaxes when asked for a response to the plane rumors. In what sounded like a slight against the United States, Peskov said Russia was committed to helping resolve the political situation in Venezuela without interfering in the country's business. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that Moscow will do anything to support Maduro. Matter of fact, here's this quote: Russia is prepared to help resolve the political situation in Venezuela in any way possible without interfering with the country's internal affairs. Though it's worth noting, the reports claim that Russia is nervous about protecting the money it has invested in Venezuela, which has been used to help prop up Maduro's regime. So it's probably just a coincidence maybe that plane came from Moscow empty, landed in Caracas, sits in the corner of the airport, and all of a sudden 20 tons of gold is missing in the Caracas vaults. And that Moscow, remember, one day after Russia officials warned that Venezuela would struggle to meet its financial obligations to Moscow, which is it owes $3.1 billion, rescheduling deal, Bloomberg is reporting that this mysterious Russian Boeing 777 had landed in Caracas yesterday and that it left with 20 tons of gold, equivalent to roughly 20% of that country, of Venezuela's total holdings, to an unknown location with little explanation. The story cited a bombshell tweet sent by Venezuela lawyer Jose Guerrera, a former central bank economist who remains in touch with old colleagues there. And look, guys, I could start out that song, all the gold in Venezuela is in a bank in Moscow in somebody else's name. I could do that, but I'm not going to do that. But having said that, having the fact that I predicted this, and this is one time where you could see this coming a mile away, in my opinion. And oh, by the way, don't forget the Chinese, because he owes them more than he owes the Russians, but it looks like he is going to lock arms with Putin. The question is, now that Putin's got this installment of gold, does Maduro got more to send him? Or is that it? Did that empty the vault? And does Maduro, does he get a free ticket now to Russia? Or does he get left behind? Russia's got the gold. So that's yet to be seen. But what we do know is Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro is ready to talk with the opposition. The embattled president now says he will meet U.S.-backed opposition, but in the presence of an international mediator. According to reports, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro expressed readiness to hold negotiations with the American-backed opposition in the presence of an international mediators, while accusing the U.S. of ordering his assassination. The beleaguered leader, who previously rejected calls for talks, told Russia's state-owned RIA Novosti news agency today he changed his stance for the sake of Venezuela's peace and its future. Maduro said that the talks could be held with the mediation of other countries, and he did mention Mexico, Uruguay, Bolivia, the Vatican, and Russia could be the third parties. Mark that down. Mexico, we know they're neutral. Uruguay, Bolivia is totally for Maduro. The Vatican, I find that interesting. And Russia. He accused U.S. President Donald J. Trump of organizing his killing, saying he's aware of Trump's orders for the Colombian government and local mafia to carry it out, and he offered no evidence to support these allegations. Okay, and if something happens to me one day, then Donald Trump and the Colombian president will be responsible for everything that's happening to me. Now, there's more to this. There's a lot longer article. There's a lot more information. I'm going to share this during our live broadcast today. It starts at 12 noon Eastern. You don't want to miss it. This is getting very interesting. We've been playing this one out, watching it develop. Juan Guaido is going to become the leader of Venezuela. Maduro's on his way out the door. The question is just how long does this process take? Does he get out of there alive? And does he get to go to Moscow? Is this negotiated? He wants this, of course, to be approved by enough nations that everybody leaves him alone. And does he hand that country over to President Juan Guaido? And is there anything left in the bank when he leaves? Trump is making sure that there is by securing the accounts and securing the oil royalties. But what Trump couldn't do was secure the physical gold itself. And Russia looks like they're going to get their hands on that and already have. All right, I'll be back with more current world events and how that relates to biblical prophecy. My only question is, what happens to China and the money they're owed? How did they get out of this? And oh, by the way, there's a lot more to talk about. Because Trump was really focused on making sure that Venezuela did not go to Russia. And Russia was really focused on making sure that Syria did not go to America. Was there a negotiated deal between Putin and Trump on a handshake? We'll talk about this, okay? I'll be back with more. Give your life to Jesus Christ. The world is in a state of chaos, exactly like the Bible said it would be. There'd be signs in the sun, the moon, the stars, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea, the waves roaring. And men's hearts would fail them for fear, for looking after those things coming upon the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Then shall we see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, he said, look up, lift up your head. Your redemption is drawing nigh.